My topic today is two key words in education. When people ask me, what are your key words in education? I tell them about two of my favorite words, presence and accompaniment. For me, these two words are everything in education. Let me explain. First of all, about presence. To be present with someone is to be with that person, is to pervade his or her personality. To be present is to be part and parcel of someone else's life. It isn't just a physical reality. When I am present in the life of someone, I have occupied more than just a corner in the mind and heart of that person. I make him or her real to me. My presence is accompanied by feelings, all kinds of feelings and sentiments. A mere recalling of my presence evoke the particular feeling that I have created in him or her. But there are some characteristics which are required to make your presence an experience for your students. First of all, your presence must be a welcome presence. The physical presence of the teacher should be a welcome presence, one that the child longs for, one that facilitates happiness. It should stir up positive feelings and build up sentiments. Secondly, a motivating presence, a presence that infuses enthusiasm, encouragement, and is optimistic. The presence of the educator infuses in the child a thirst for knowledge through the tactful use of queries, experiments, and exposure to new and educative environments. Thirdly, a personal presence. The presence of the teacher is such that each child feels known, loved, and accepted. This is all the more essential when relating to children having different levels of intelligence, who are weak, differently abled, or mentally challenged. Next, it must be a challenging presence. Presence is challenging when it brings out the best in the students, especially under adverse circumstances. The teacher challenges them with his or her convictions, values, dedication, and spirit of sacrifice. Next, an empathic presence. It's a life-enhancing presence founded on genuine love, care, and concern. It is a no strings attached presence. It's an unconditional involvement in the life of the student, prompted by genuine love, accompanied by deep respect for the child. Next, an incarnational presence. It means seeing the world through the eyes of the child. It means coming down to their level to lift them up. It's a kind of divine presence. It means loving what your students love, or getting under their skin, so that they may learn to love what you love and the values you live by. Next, a creative presence. A presence that is open to the joy of discovery. Life is too short, too precious, too varied to be experienced between the fine print of cold textbooks or within the four walls of the classrooms. Being open to discovery means being ready to try new ways, new solutions, and new ideas. Lastly, a preventive and corrective presence. A presence that prevents evil. Students are apt to forget rules. Being there with them would help prevent exposure to harm. When the educator or the teacher is present in their midst, they are apt to avoid evil. The second word that I want to give you is accompaniment or accompanying. Accompanying is a process. It amounts to being with the children through the thick and thin of their lives. It requires the teacher to stand by or with the children even when things go wrong and when seemingly insurmountable problems arise. It means to traverse the territory of students and walk the way along with them to the place they are headed to. It's a journey together. Accompanying becomes very demanding as far as the time to be spent with the children are concerned. The teacher should make himself or herself available to them. In this process of accompanying the young, strong bonds are built. This bonding forms a base for the teaching-learning process. Some of the known characteristics of accompanying are, first of all, total acceptance of the child. The teacher should be able to accept the students as they are. He or she entertains positive attitudes towards them and has a firm belief in their goodness and potentialities. The students should feel comfortable to be themselves. In an atmosphere of total acceptance, the teacher begins to clarify and sort out their doubts and calm their fears. Secondly, broad-mindedness. Broad-mindedness in a teacher makes him or her more approachable. It also enables him or her to be flexible if required. The teacher has to overlook the childish behavior and shortcomings till he or she gains their confidence. Thirdly, keeping their end in mind. The goal of accompanying is to empower and enlighten the students, to ignite their hearts and minds, keeping their goals, their dreams and aspirations in mind. Next is commitment. Accompanying is a patient work. To continue to walk with them through their stubbornness, disobedience and waywardness is indeed tough and demanding, but it is worth it. Endurance might seem fruitless at first, but it yields gratifying results at the end. Finally, listening. In the process of accompanying, the teacher must first listen to the things they are saying, to the things they are not saying, to the things they are afraid to say, and to the things they themselves take for granted. I want to conclude by saying that the foundation of these two words, presence and accompanying, is love. To be a teacher is to love. A sincere love for the student, devoid of sentimentality and selfish motives. It's a holy love which looks for the good of the students and their spiritual and physical well-being and growth. This love is also unconditional. Through this process, the educator lives in the life of his students and love what they love. It is said that we learn faster from people we love. We learn faster because we are loved. An atmosphere of trust and acceptance is the key to healthy growth. This is the place for teachers to begin. Love between each other and love for their children.